Rosemary, hello. We've got you.
You've got me. You found me.
Yeah,
Yes, we did.
I pushed the wrong button, so please don't kick my butt.
Well, that's interesting. The title of the book is Time to Kick Butt, but it's B with a single T, and
Yes.
it's about getting rid of butt from our thought life.
Yeah, which is all about our useless thoughts, Rosemary.
It is a really big useless thoughts because everything that follows when you use that word but is generally a really big useless thought. But I don't say big.
No. So, Rosemary, let's talk a little bit about your history before we get to what the message about the useless thoughts is. There's a backstory, Suze, which is
fascinating. Starting back from when you were a teenager, from when you were a young child, you didn't have a very happy start to life coming into the world. Can you tell us about how your journey from childhood to getting to where you are now? In brief, I know it's not a short story.
You gave me a minute and a half. Okay, yeah, sure. No, I came like a lot of others from a domestic violence situation, and I guess didn't have a lot of the support systems that some may be fortunate enough to have in life. So I discovered that looking around at the role models I had, they weren't good examples of how to get a great life. And all the things I tried to do, I worked out rather early that if you can't be a good example, at least be a good warning, and then you might have good covered. And for me, I sort of, mixed on the wrong side of the law before I decided I wanted to do more with my life. And I became a police officer. I was a cop for 8 years and then an investigator for another 8. And again, I immersed myself with a lot of people who had a lot of those big, useless thoughts, and they weren't getting the results in life that they wanted. And I read over 400 books myself in order to self-improve because I wanted the best, like many other people out there, yet I wasn't getting it. And, I fell in my pity pot. I married an alcoholic and had a few experiences that I kept, putting the blame onto God or the universe or whatever it would be. How could I keep having these experiences? Until I finally settled on the conclusion that what's common to every problem in my life, and the common denominator was me.
Yeah.
So the good news, if I was part of the problem, I certainly would be part of the solution. So in having read so many books in order to get a grasp on how to improve and better my life, which I've done astronomically now from where I began, it became with me starting and me getting the right information and tools, and I put together in one book all that I had to source from over 400 others.
I can imagine coming from a childhood where you were abused, that you were often told you're useless and that you're no good, to turn your life around to what it is now, which is someone who is inspiring so many people in their own self-esteem and in their own feeling of self-worth and value, and finding that for yourself. That is a huge story of hope just by telling your own story, Rosie.
And that is the key. I speak in lots of schools throughout Australia as well as within the US, and the key point I say is what other people think of you is none of your business. You cannot have someone else's opinion of you count for anything. And I can tell you as a cop, I had thousands of other people's opinions of me. Just go to any pub brawl and you'll get at least 15 opinions in that one evening. And it goes in one ear as Rosie, you're this, that, the other, and all the things my mother was and father, and apparently all these people that, had only met me in that second. To Rosie, hi, how you doing? You're a great chick. And that's my own translation process. And that's, to be successful in life, you must have your own internal dialogue on your side. You've got to beat the battle of the brain right at the get-go. Otherwise, you'll fall susceptible to depression, anxiety, stress, overwhelmment. In today's environment and climate, there isn't a single person walking out there that doesn't have a problem. And the first piece of advice is change that problem into a challenge, because a challenge is surmountable.
Yes.
A challenge is changeable, and everything is changeable.
You talk about these big useless thoughts. You talk about the recurring useless thoughts, the ruts that we get into. A lot of what you talk about is our self-talk, what we say to ourselves. And I know over the years of my family members, myself, that when we talk about that inner dialogue, so often the way you overcome and the self-help seems to be a little bit colder than the sensitive, empathy-filled sort of person, where you kind of have to shut off some of those emotions. Does it become a bit callous and a bit cold when you focus so much on only the good and the positive?
Well, I'm fairly challenging and confrontational, especially to what's not working. And I don't want to be friends with what's not going to be good in my life. simple as that.
Yeah.
And I deserve the best, and I'm entitled to the best, and the only way I get it is by paying attention to it. And that's what people misunderstand. They learn a few affirmations or positive intentions, and they spend, a whole 5-10 minutes on that in their daily life and then think, why aren't I getting it? They don't understand. It's like piano practice. You'll get out what you put in. If you're not out there practicing, what you're getting back as your life experience is showing to you what you've been paying attention to.
Yeah.
It's showing you what you've been talking about, what you've been discussing with your friends. If you're bitching about your boyfriend, don't be surprised that he's not living up to your standards.
Yeah. Well, our guest this morning, Rosie Pekar, the author of Time to Kick Butt, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.